So I'm going to try to run through this real quickly on this part. I'm using Silhouette Studio. What I do is I bring my image in, and if we try to get a shape around this right now, it's going to just be a box because this is a ping file. So if we do that, that's going to suck. We want more of a shape. We want it to follow it. What I like to do, someone may know an easier way to do this, but I go up to the trace panel. I select my lady. I usually actually duplicate it. I forgot that step, sorry. So duplicate it so that you have two of these in here, and I'll show you why. So obviously we don't need to trace this. This isn't what we're doing. We love Debbie's image exactly as it is. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a trace and detach. You may need to bring the threshold up just a little bit sometimes to get some of those finer details in there. Some files are going to be too detailed to do this, and you may just have to give it up and go for an easier shape. Example right there, that other one, it has a really sketchy font on it, and so it's going to try to trace inside every one of those little holes everywhere. So just do the best you can to get like the fine little details, like the points of her hair. So we're going to do a trace and detach. It's hit and miss whether or not my Silhouette has a meltdown when we do this or not. Did good today. So you're just gonna grab in the middle of the image, and it's gonna leave behind all of this. That's why I duplicate it, is because it's gonna detach and leave little bits of the actual image. I mean, it may be okay, but we want top quality. So you can delete that. And then what you're gonna do, the reason we did that is so that we can go over here to the offset panel and offset. And I like to bring it down, you can do it whatever, bring it down about here. That just leaves a little bit around the edge over there. If you're just starting out or you like a little more white, maybe go a little bit higher so it's a little easier to line up. We'll go there. And then if there's any of these little extra guys, just release your compound path, get rid of that so that you're just left with your outline, okay? Then we'll pretend like this is not the traced one. Bring them back in, line them up. Now we're ready to go on to get ready to cut. This is just to make sure that we can line those up together and get them to whatever size we need. But now we have the shape of our girl. Sublidecal is on the mat. We have it shiny side up. We are not going to mirror this when we cut it. We are going to cut it as is. I'm using the vinyl glossy settings. I did amp up the force to about 15. It's a little bit thicker than a typical 651. You don't notice it as you go to apply it and use it, but you definitely notice it as you go to cut it. So you want to be able to get that clear through. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and weed this just like you would any other vinyl. You can see there, I'm not going to be able to do this one-handed. So there is the shape of our sweet little skull with the mask. And then I've got some rectangles here for the other ones that I'm doing. So go ahead and weed it. See, we've got shiny side up, and then we'll go on to the next step. We've got our heat press preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Here is our sublimation print. Everything is mirrored. I love, love, love watching the transformation of colors. Like, is her hair like purple and blue in this? And yet it's gonna turn out amazing. I freaking love sublimation. We have our Sublidecal all cut out. We're just gonna lay this on our press. If you have a swing away, this works best. If you have a clamshell, I've done it with that too, and it does just fine. You're just gonna bring your press over top of it. We're not closing it, but we are just gonna stick it over top for about 25 seconds. This is just so the ink can fully dry, and it's gonna kind of pre-shrink your Sublidecal so that as we go to press it, everything's gonna stay the same size that we wanted to. Nothing's gonna get off kilter with shrinkage. So we'll just give that about 25 seconds and then we'll go on to the next step. I have my Sublidecal face up, my sublimation paper face down. And what I've done, I've just taken, and I don't have a light box or anything, I just hold it up to the light and I have just lined them up. If you wanted to take the time when you print this to do a print and cut, then, I mean, you could follow the lines that you did for your Sublidecal so that you'd have nice lines to line up. I wasn't too worried about it because this was just for an example, and this will be for my own use to put on my water bottle. I've got, this is Sublidecal that I put on the end of January, and I washed this like crazy, and it still looks amazing. I love this stuff. And then these guys, same thing. This was just, these are for my sister, and then this is for a customer. So these are just on rectangles, so those will be pretty easy to line up. This one I did go ahead and just trim around the edge a little bit so I could kind of follow it. Watch for little things like little strands like this. That'll be your biggest tell of if things are off. You'll look up here and it'll look right, and then you get down here and this strand of hair is like off the Sublidecal. So take your time on this part. This is really like the most time consuming part of it. Use high heat tape. You don't have to use this much. I just got excited. And just tape it down in a couple places. It's not really going to go anywhere, so just a couple pieces will do. And we're going to take it over to the heat press. We have our heat press preheated at 350 degrees. This is going to go, we're going to press it for 3.5 minutes. That seems crazy long, but I promise it's going to turn out great. You're going to want to either have 2 Teflon sheets, depending on the size of your project, or you're going to have one to fold in half. I generally just fold it in half because why get out more stuff? If you're like me, your craft room's a hot mess right now because you've been crafting like crazy while we're quarantined. I've got like a sewing station over here, doing a little bit of everything right now. So get this on your Teflon sheet, fold that one over, and you want light but firm pressure is what it's described as. So a little heavier than what I would normally do if I was sublimating like a t-shirt or something, but you still want pretty decent pressure there. So I'll see you in 3.5 minutes. When it's time to take off of the Teflon, it is, I mean, you can see it's stuck to it. To keep from curling, especially if you were going to give this decal to a customer, you don't want it all curled up. To keep it from curling, I do it like the same way as if we're taking it off of a mat. Lay your product face down and peel your Teflon back. That's going to leave your paper nice and flat. Because this is nicely cooled, we don't really have to worry about ghosting at this point like we would if we were making a shirt or something of that nature. So we're just going to peel that back. And we are really getting somewhere. I don't know if I can do this with one hand, guys. I kind of went crazy on my tape. I'm sorry. So there is our gorgeous girl. She's got a nice outline on it. She's going to look great. You just can use regular transfer tape with this. I do like the clear kind. I feel like it's a little stickier, a little higher tack. I wouldn't use the, like I have this, the paper transfer tape. I wouldn't use that. Use the clear stuff like this guy. This one looks like it might have a disease from being pulled up and down. Yeah, use this stuff. It's just going to have a little bit more tack to it so that you can transfer it easier. But these are all ready to go. They hold up fantastic. I've done these for my nephew's water bottles, for my water bottles. We've done them on vehicles. They hold up really well. I've had it on mine for a year and it still looks, I mean, it holds up great through car washes, Idaho winters, everything. So there you are, little Sublidecal.